welcome to episode 2 of the Serenity Knitting Society podcast. My name is Alex and this is a knitting podcast based out of rural Australia. So, welcome! Episode 2! We actually have a name and stuff now. For anyone who watched the first video, I put it up about a week ago, I just wanted to say thank you so much to everybody who watched the video, everybody who liked, commented, subscribed, found my Instagram page, reached out via message. It has just been such a joy to meet so many people and connect with you all and hear that you enjoyed the episode last week. It was really a hope of mine that, people might like it. And it's been so lovely to connect with some of you in whatever platform that's been in. So thank you so much for reaching out. It's been really exciting. About a week in, we've got, I think, about 750 people who've watched the first video. So that's pretty crazy. I was definitely just excited that more than 4 people, 2 of whom were probably my mum watching it twice. It wasn't just those people. So thank you so much. Thank you so much to everybody who checked it out. And if you're coming back for episode 2, thank you so much. Welcome back. And if you're new and you happen to have stumbled across this, welcome. Very quickly, I'd love to tell you a little bit about where we came to with the name and kind of where the Serenity Knitting Society came from as a concept. So stay tuned. There's heaps of knitting, heaps of finished objects. But very briefly, I just kind of wanted to give a little bit of background about why I made the decision on that name, why I settled there in the end. And so I suppose, if you have watched the first episode, you would have heard that a lot of what I love about knitting and the knitting community, and for me, watching podcasts, what kind of led me to be here and making one myself, is that I get so much joy out of sitting with a cup of tea and a candle and all my knitting stuff after a big day at work or a big day out in the world. And it often feels like when I'm watching podcasts, like I'm just sitting and having a chat with a friend or a couple of friends, and I just love that. I love that so much. And so, having this idea of it being the Serenity Knitting Society is, yes, it's just me with my cat in my living room talking about the stuff that I'm making. But really it's about, when you're watching, it's about the kind of space that we kind of create together. And it's about the, community that we are as kind of creative people and as knitters or as crocheters or as fiber people. I kind of had this idea, this concept of, we could be the Serenity Knitting Society. And basically, if you're watching this video, you're a part of it, If you're subscribed to the channel, you're a part of it. If you're on the Instagram page, you're a part of it. Let's have this be a space where we can kind of, it's not just all of us sitting by ourselves. It's kind of something that we're sharing together and creating a really inclusive space. Buddy's trying to steal a ball of yarn. Thanks, bud. I'm going to put that over here. So, that's kind of where I really thought, it's just me. But really what I would like this to be is be about more than that, and, be about a space that we can share and hang out together for a little bit. So if you're here to hang out, awesome. I'm so excited you're here. And, I think that the other part of the name really was about considering, and again, I shared about this a little bit last week, about, how I came into knitting and what I really get out of knitting. And, knitting for me is fun, and knitting for me is about being, creative and joyful and colors and, really all the fun stuff that we love about it. But, for me too, there's a little bit more to it than that. And I suppose, I don't want to give the impression that I'm walking around serene all the time. Can guarantee not the case. But knitting is a big part of my practice in how I connect with myself. I take time out for myself. It's a big part of my self-care and my creative process. And, I looked up the definition of what serenity really is. And it's, it's peace and it's being untroubled. And often when I'm just, whether that's concentrating on a more intricate colorwork pattern or a lace pattern, or sometimes it's just rows and rows of garter stitch, for me, there's something that happens where I just kind of slip into this almost like a meditative state, where I can just kind of be wherever I am and just kind of engaging with what's in front of me. And that's a really important thing for me. And I think for a lot of knitters, we love the creativity, we love the color, we love the, the fun of it and the joy of it. But I often think for a lot of us, you know, that there's that extra level of kind of what it gives us. So yeah, that's how I kind of settled on the name, the Serenity Knitting Society. So thank you for indulging me in sharing a little bit about that, and welcome to the Serenity Knitting Society. If you're here, you're in it. There's no fees or anything. Like, you're just here. So that's that. Getting into knitting content. Right. First things first, I need a glass of water and some lip gloss. Let's be frank. Okay. I'm ready. So, what I'm wearing. If you haven't clocked already, this is the Ranunculus sweater by Midori Hirose, which is also Knit Cafe Midori. I have made it out of, it's an 100% organic wool from a brand called Keepsake, which you can find at Spotlight in Australia. I believe it retails for about $9 to $10 a ball. I don't remember how many balls I used. I think I might have used about 7, as I mentioned last week, but I will, you know, kind of continue to mention it for reference for new humans. I have a 125 centimeter bust, and I kind of sit between the 18 to 22 size range. Let's be honest, sizes are weird. Somewhere in that zone, for a bit of reference for anyone watching. I love this pattern. I'm like everybody else on the planet where I could have, you know, 45 of these. I've already got one that I showed last week, which was a pink mohair one, which is kind of like waiting for some more yarn to be purchased at some point. Couldn't be more thrilled with it. It's got a really quite a boxy frame. You know, a lot of people would have seen this before, so I won't spend too much time on it. The only modification that I made was with the sleeves. It normally has like, I think it's like a bracelet or a 3/4 sleeve with a bit of a I-cord detail. I wanted to kind of mimic another sweater that I have where it's got really long kind of tailored ribbing. I probably would have preferred it to start a bit earlier, just in the way that I had, you know, thought about it. But twisted rib is a little bit more labor intensive than just doing stockinette in the round. So I think I was a bit lazy in the end. And anyway, it's fine. I'm happy with it as it is. In the last episode, a couple of people really loved the phrase pill like a mofo. This would be another excellent example. I used a pill comb on this morning when I put it on, and it's probably been maybe six to 8 hours since then, and you can see it's very fluffy. So I suppose this is the thing. For a completely organic, to my understanding, untreated wool, it's very, very soft, very, very, you know, I could easily wear this next to skin, no worries. Very, very soft, you know, really nice halo to just the kind of basic fiber. Still got my face in it, I don't know if you can still see that. Anyway, it's lovely. But because of how soft it is, there is also the payoff that it does pill significantly. I can live with that. Like, I don't really care that much. I just get out. I've got an electric shaver, and which I find actually doesn't work very well on this because of how pilly it actually is. So I've got like a little comb. I should have actually bought it out. Maybe next time I'll bring one out. A little comb that I bought from Suzanne's, which is a women's fashion store in Australia. It's just a little comb, and you just kind of shunk, 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 and it's all, it just grabs all the bits off, and yeah, it does a fine job. But yeah, it really is quite intensive in regards to kind of pilling. So totally up to you if that's your thing or not. But yeah, overall the fabric I'm really happy with. And it does say that it's I'm getting a little bit distracted, but it does say, Buddy keeps trying to steal my yarn as I'm talking, if that's not obvious. It does say on Ravelry / the website that it's an approximately a DK weight yarn. I feel like it has knit up at a worsted weight. I did use the recommended needle size. I think it's a 6 for this, and it has knit up really nicely. There's no like weird gaps in the fabric, you know, it's all kind of solid, but it's nice and drapey and kind of, there's a lot of movement to it, which, you know, for a 100% wool yarn, I suppose at that slightly larger gauge kind of gives that a bit of movement. But yes, I love the boxy shape. I've got a bit of long twisted rib at the hem as well. Super happy with it. There are a few short rows. I always forget to mention this. There's a few short rows in the back, or am I wearing it backwards? No, I think I'm wearing it the right way around. There are a few short rows in the back to kind of help a little bit with the shape. I don't super notice that, but I'm not I'm a garment wearer, not a garment designer, so maybe it does something that I don't know about. I do love wearing it with a light colored top underneath. I love being able to see some of the kind of more lace details. The only thing I would say is, given that this is such a dark color, it can be a little bit hard, and I imagine you're having this issue as I'm talking. It can be a little hard to see the details, so it kind of comes more texturally. It comes across more as texture rather than pattern. Whereas when I've seen it knit up in kind of lighter colors, you can much more easily see that there's an actual pattern going on. So yeah, that's what I'm wearing, and I freaking love it. I suppose the other thing I would say about it too is that it's very versatile, and as far as having it in this grey colour, although it doesn't seem particularly interesting, my favourite way to wear it is with a white linen collared shirt and, you know, either having some black jeans and like some tan boots, or I'm currently wearing it, I just did grocery shopping and coffee and stuff today, so I'm currently wearing it with some like girlfriend paper bag type jeans. So I feel like it can be quite versatile in whether I wear it somewhere nice or whether I kind of just, you know, wear it hanging out and having a coffee with my friends. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. On to FOs. If you are interested in checking me out on Instagram, some of this stuff I have kind of like mentioned or, you know, done some funny reels about over the last couple of days. So feel free to check it out. It's at the Serenity Knitting Society on Instagram. So love to see you over there. And I've had some really lovely chats with people over the last couple of days. So yeah, love to see you there. But this was one that I posted as a bit of a celebratory cast on, because on the Friday, the day after I posted, it'd been about 24 hours since I'd posted the video, and yeah, 100 people had seen it, and I was like really excited. Like I ran up to my husband and I was like, oh my gosh, look, people are actually watching it. And I was really excited. So I did a little celebratory cast on. I think this might be the fastest I've ever knit a pair of socks. And there are a couple of reasons for that. So without further ado, look how freaking cute they are. As you can see, I'm very thrilled with my peach socks. So, details. First part is I needed to knit a pair of mohair socks because I saw that Jodie on the Grocery Girls in their last episode, she used a sock machine to, I don't know, sock wind, however you do that, sock knit up a pair of mohair socks. And they'd been on my list for a little while, but once I'd seen that Jodie had done it, I was like, yeah, okay, this is time. There is a time and a place, and it is now. So as a celebratory cast on, I cast these on Friday night, and you know, it's been less than a week and I have a finished pair. And I'm not gonna lie, a massive motivation for me filming today is because I really want to wear these. And I wasn't really willing to wait another week. I've got heaps of stuff to show, so it was fine. But yeah, I was not willing to wait another week, and I didn't know how. I don't actually know how these will wear yet because it's my first pair of mohair socks, so I didn't want to bring them on once they were like really dodgy. So the yarn. So the peach yarn is from Rainbow and Sprinkles, which is an Australian company. Small business, not even really, like it's not a huge company. They're a beautiful small business. This color I am obsessed with, and I actually am surprised by. When I bought it, I just kind of saw the peach, was like, oh, that's really pretty. And I didn't really think I appreciated quite how incredible this colorway is. And I feel like I'm going to say that I don't say that very often, and then I'm going to say it every single episode. So just like, feel free to take that one with a grain of salt. But I need more of this. I'm thinking about doing a whole sweater, and I don't know, that hasn't happened to me yet, that I've been like, oh, I'm going to need more of this colorway. But this is just stunning. So like I said, by Rainbow and Sprinkles, I believe it's a 75-25. I probably do have a ball band somewhere, but as you will learn, sometimes they just go missing. So anyway, I'll show you. So it's a beautiful peach, and I'm just going to see if you can see any of them. Can you see those beautiful speckles? So this is what I mean, because you can't, sometimes in the ball, and when I even saw it in the skein, I don't think I was quite getting, and I'll show it in the sock too in a minute, I don't think I was quite getting the complexity and the delicateness of all the speckles. Oh, that's a really good little bit there. No, it's getting my face now. There you go. Oof. How good is that? So I've held this with I've actually got the ball band for this one because I knew I forget what it's called. The Ella Ray Silky Kid Super Kid Mohair and Silk. I wonder why it's super. Like, are all the goats wearing capes? Like, what's the deal? So it's 76% super Kid Mohair and 24% silk. Again, when I bought this, I was a bit like, oh, I was kind of hoping for a light pink. I wasn't thinking peach. I mean, it is called peach. That's the colorway. So I don't know what I was thinking there, but I got it and I was like, yeah, okay, cool. That's fine. I actually had it in mind for a different project. These two together. So the Serial Sewer on Instagram / YouTube. When I posted these, she was like, oh my gosh, they look like fairy floss. I will forever think of these as my fairy floss socks. I am just beside myself. So these two together, I held them, I did it on a 2.75 mil needle, and I think I cast on 58 stitches. I think I might even do less next time. I have no idea. Like, it wasn't quite a DK, it wasn't quite a fingering, it wasn't quite might have been a sport. I'm not really very good at the technical stuff. I just kind of guesstimate and we see how it goes. They fit. So they're probably slightly loose around the cuff. And I also think had I maybe done a 1x1 rather than a 2x2 rib, that might have helped a little bit. But back to the color. And I'm aware of how mediocre my fancy iPhone camera might be in this scenario. But let's see if we can show you. So, oh, can you see some of that little light speckling through there? It's very, very subtle. Let's see. It's very, very subtle and it's blowing out heaps. I love me like peeping over it. How hilarious. All I can say is this is not doing it justice. Like, I don't freak out over colors that often, but this is the kind of thing, it's like from a distance, it just looks like, and this is quite an accurate representation actually, it just looks like a beautiful peachy pink. Oh, I didn't even say the name of it. It's called Peaches and Cream. I keep tagging it as Peachy Keen. I don't know why. I'm just making up the names of things. So it's called Peaches and Cream. This is one of those ones where, yeah, I could do an entire sweater in this combination. And it's just kind of the lightest dusting of these rainbow sprinkles. And I could not recommend this more. They are just gorgeous and I'm so excited. They're also my first pair of like, they're not quite shorties, but they're shorter than the ones I'm about to show you. So, yes. I am very excited to wear these tonight. Can guarantee you, once this is finished, I will be putting these on my feet. They are my socks. Okay, so we got lots of sock conversation, as the Groceries girls would say. There's lots of sock talk happening today. Second pair of socks. Oops, this one has an end sticking out. Just pretend you didn't see that. I don't think you did. Another pair of vanilla socks. I prefer vanilla socks. I've done some with patterns. I like to knit them. I like to wear like I like to wear them. I just am more of a vanilla sock kind of gal. This is 3 Cats yarn in the Vineyard. I think I might have shown these as a work in progress last week from memory. Again, another beautiful colorway. This one is a bit more, well, it's a lot more speckled, like it's a full-blown speckle, whereas the other one, I would say the peaches and cream, not peachy keen, peaches and cream is more of like a tonal with some very light speckling. This one is light speckled. Ooh, so I think I mentioned this last week. My classic sock is on a 2.25. I do a 2x2 ribbing, 64 stitches. I like quite a long leg on my socks. I do a heel flap and gusset with a French heel, which I got off a Sari Nordland pattern for her poet socks. They are very patterned, but I really liked the heel that she used. It's more of a rounded heel. And then I do a square toe and Kitchener stitch the tops. So that's like my classic little, would we even call it a recipe? That's just kind of how I do it, and I can pretty much do it from memory now. There's a couple of bits that I have a couple of notes to look at when I'm doing them, but again, very excited to wear these ones. I just love having a fresh pair of socks. And I'm hoping to start another pair I have. So when we get to like the end part, or not the end part, but like once I've shown you all the shit that I've got to show you. See, look, I knew I'd swear eventually. When I've shown you all the stuff that I've got to show, I need some help with something to do with these socks. So hold tight for that. I need some support, friends, and that's what friends do for each other. So I'm counting on you. Okay, big one. So I showed last week that I was working on the Grow Shawl by Fibertails. I have finished. It's only taken a whole year to get this thing finished. So it's very large. I'll just show. This was made out of the pencil roving that I showed last week from the Nundle wool mill in, is it northwest New South Wales? It's probably more north than northwest. Anyway, not too far out of Tamworth, New South Wales. I can't tell you how much I used because it's all in wheels or plates. They were calling them cheese wheels at the Nundle, which I just thought was hilarious. But I know other places refer to them as plates, so whatever floats your boat. I am really happy with this in the end. It actually turned out much better than I thought it would. I was going to dye it, maybe with some avocado natural dye. I think I'm gonna leave it actually. I really like the way that the braids turned out. It's very hard to show you this because it's so large. I'm really happy with the way the braids turned out. And I'm surprised by the drape actually, because I really thought it was quite stiff when I first knit it up, and I have wet blocked it. That's why there are a few leaves on it from being dried outside. It's very cold where I live, and so there's a lot of, there is actually quite a bit of moisture, even though it's quite a dry climate. So yeah, it was out there for a while. Very happy with that. First time doing any kind of little, like, they're just very little cables, but first time doing any kind of little cabling on these little guys down the bottom here, but super happy with how they turned out. Oh, Buddy is taking my wool. No thanks, little friend. Nope, excuse me. No, thank you. So very happy with how they turned out. I did do on the edge, and I almost always do this, and I think I might have mentioned it, is at the end of every row, I would bring the yarn forward and slip the last 2 stitches of every row. And that just gives like a little faux I-cord edging. I learned about that in the Bennett Sisters shawl. Couldn't tell you who that was by off the top of my head, but I made that a little while ago. and I just love the way it looks. So yeah, super happy with this. Not sure what I'm going, like, I'll be honest, this is one I'm not entirely sure about what I'm going to use it for. It's not one that I feel like is, you know, like a wrap around your neck type scenario. It's really kind of like a, you know, toss around your shoulders, frolic out in the wilderness. I didn't say it was by, did I say it was by Fibertails? I think I might have actually. So yeah, it's just really snuggly, and I even thought I could just put it like in a basket near the couch, so that while I'm knitting, oh, I feel like I'm a little toasty now. While I'm knitting and stuff, I can kind of have it there for, you know, when I'm getting a little bit cold. But my only minor thing, which you would never notice if I didn't point it out to you, but I will for the sake of, you know, letting you know. I put, without telling you how to do the braids, because that's in the pattern, so I'm not gonna say that. I just made a mistake on one of them where I didn't quite read the pattern properly, and so the braid is a lot tighter than the rest of them. So when I blocked it out, you can kind of see down the bottom that one of them is a little bit tighter and kind of like pulled up a little bit towards the edge, and it just kind of means that the bottom edge isn't completely, even when I blocked it, it's not quite sitting flat. Don't know if you're able to see it. Not the end of the world. I can live with it, but it's the one kind of thing that I'm like, yeah, I would have liked that to have not been the case. But c'est la vie. It's perfectly imperfect, and to be honest, I actually think, I think the whole thing probably cost me the best part of $20 Australian. So that's freaking nothing. And I have a whole 2 other plates that I can do something with. Have no idea what that will be, but I can do something with them. So yeah, that's that. All my finished objects, all in a week. Turns out I've just decided to become a super knitter now that I'm podcasting. I'm like, oh, better get serious about this thing. But I'll be honest, it's been quite a good motivation to be like, I was like, oh crap, now I've got to make another one and like actually have stuff to show people. So I do think in future I'm going to kind of try and aim for a fortnightly episode. I'm not making any promises or commitments to that, but that's kind of, I think that will be a reasonable amount of time for me to do some kind of changes, some kind of, you know, adding to things, but also not have it be like there's heaps of pressure and too far between episodes. So it's kind of like, you know, it's a reasonably regular thing that I'm doing. So those are all my FOs. I do have some new whips. So updates on whips from last week. As she sheepishly laughs, the hipster shawl that I showed that I had made the mistake on, and there was a little bit of story time around that, I haven't touched it. I just haven't had the mental capacity to think about potentially ripping that one back. I do think that's what I'm going to do. I just think it will bug me. It's not, I'm fine with when they're just little mistakes, no one will notice, but I think this is a big enough one that I could just rip it back. And yeah, maybe before next podcast, that's something I will aim to do. We are in the midst of looking at moving at the moment. So I'll be honest, brain capacity is low. So I'm just like casting on new stuff. Like I just don't have 2 projects that are sitting there waiting for me to finish them. So yeah, no updates on that, but I have cast on a new project. First, swatchies. So remember how last week I said that I'm not doing a lot of acquisitions? So then I went out the next day and was like, well, I have a podcast now. So obviously I will need to purchase some yarn. And like I mentioned, I do live in a rural town at the moment, although I just said we're moving. So I don't know if there's any yarn stores in the Northern Rivers region, which is where we're moving to. But where I am currently, there are no yarn stores. Spotlight is it. So I do often order online, but because we're moving, I didn't want to order anything, then I'd have it get here on time and yada, yada, yada. So I went to Spotlight the other day and I did post this on my Instagram. I literally left the house for a candle yarn and coffee, and it was amazing. I bought this. I bought 7 of these, so I've just got one here because it's attached to my project. This is a new yarn to me, and my first time trying plant, like 100% plant yarn, plant-based yarn. It is called Trubu. How cute is that? Do you not think of pandas immediately? Trubu, which is from Lion Brand Yarn. It's 100% rayon from bamboo. It's probably why I'm thinking of pandas immediately. Adorable, first of all. Second of all, really soft, like next level soft. I have never knit with a plant-based fibre, other than I've done a couple of like face washes with 100% cotton, because the feeling, like the chalky feeling of cotton for me is like nails on a chalkboard. I just cannot do it. And I'm really, I'm a sensitive soul. And so part of what I'm looking for when I'm knitting is, it's not just the product that I'm making, but it's the process of making it. And I would really say I am a combination of the two. It doesn't matter how nice a project is, if I hate making it, I'm not doing it. If it doesn't matter how much I'm enjoying a project, if I don't want the end result, I'm probably, well, actually that's not entirely true. I'll probably keep going, but it's generally speaking, there's a combination there for me, right? So I really wanted, like, I live in Australia. For those who don't live in Australia, it's freaking hot, like a lot of the year. Currently it's not, obviously, it's in the middle of winter, but you know, where I live, it can get up to 47 degrees Celsius for days at a time. So it's really hot. And I really wanted to look at what kind of summer yarns could I look at using, and maybe start making some t-shirts. And I was super, oh gosh, this is a bit of a story. So I was super inspired. I was watching the most recent Knitting Traditions podcast, and Inga, in the last couple of weeks, she's done a couple of the petite knit cumulus tees. And I was like, excellent, I'm gonna make one of those. I'm gonna be cool like Inga. I'm gonna go and make some of these because they do look awesome. And so, yep, took myself off to Spotlight. I was like, okay, awesome. This is a public service announcement to knitters. Don't actually look at the yarn, like look at the tag to tell you what kind of weight your yarn is. First point, do that. Second point, and this one is a little less obvious, but I keep doing this to myself. Knit a gauge swatch before you buy a pattern. I know the patterns aren't super expensive, but I did not look at, I just looked at the yarn and was like, cool, probs are 4-ply. And then I went and I looked at the cumulus tee and was like, cool, that's a 4-ply. And I bought the pattern and then I did a gauge swatch. And in fact, so I'm not a big gauge swatcher. I normally just do it and then make mistakes and then deal with that later. But the grocery girls have been telling me every week, just knit a freaking gauge swatch. And, you know, because I'm like thinking I'm having coffee with girlfriends, I'm like, yes, girls, you're so true. You're so true. So here we are. I've not one gauge swatch, not 2 gauge swatches, but 3 freaking gauge swatches. I've been like Goldilocks and the 3 Bears out here trying to find just right. So this was my first gauge swatch, washed and blocked, as if I was gonna knit a cumulus tee. I'm like 4 stitches off per inch or something. Like, it's just, we were not knitting a cumulus tee, and not out of this anyway. And I mean, look at that freaking drape. Oof. So it's so soft, this rayon bamboo stuff, so soft, really springy. I think it's gonna be lovely. I'm loving this color. As you can see, I'm a big, where am I pointing? I'm a big blue fan. Blue and pink are probably my 2 top colors, and probably purple. I think it's gonna be really lovely. However, not even close to the cumulus tee gauge. I don't even think I have needles. This was on a 3.5. I don't actually think I own needles, like, you know, sweater type needles that are small enough to get the gauge of that. And this yarn is a DK, not a fingering. So apparently the giant coffee I had that day meant that I was walking around Spotlight drunk and was making just bad decisions that day. But all was well. I just went and found another pattern, so it was all cool. So I did that swatch, and then I went and did some research. I was like, okay, let's suss out another pattern. So I looked online, and I had saved in my favorites the Rift Tee by Jacqueline Sislak. And a couple of reasons why I think that actually would probably be my preferred pattern, although I did buy the Cumulus Tee pattern. I will knit it at some point. A couple of reasons that the Rift Tee might actually suit me better. Gauge, way bigger. So instead of I think she uses a size 3 needle, 3mm needle. Jacqueline Sislak pattern uses a 5mm needle. So that's gonna be faster. That's gonna be a lot more fun. So that's the first point. Second point is in the petite knitter pattern, the Cumulus Tee, I think it goes up to a 3XL, and that was like bang on my size. So I think that was, it was probably going to be fine. I was happy to use like a slightly larger needle and maybe have a bigger gauge for that and have it be slightly larger. But I was like right at the top. I was the final size. Whereas when I went into the Rift Tee, I'm like size 4, maybe 5. I'm knitting size 4 because that I think I measured a t-shirt of mine that I think will give me a similar fit to a t-shirt I already like. But with the recommended, what's that stuff called? Ease, positive ease. I think they had like 6 to 12 inches. And so that would have put me at a size 5. So yeah, anyway, I'm doing the 52-inch bust, which I think works out at 130-ish centimeters. And so, yes, I did a swatch for the 5mm needle. The reason I have all these tails is because I'm often not smart enough to remember to some people put yarn overs to show, so they can remember what size needle that they used. I have been putting, I don't know if you can see that, little, just tying knots in the tails. It's just because I'm lazy and that's what I thought of at the time. So I did actually I think that's the 4mm. I can count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so I did a 5mm gauge swatch, and that's what the pattern called for. And then I was like, a bit too big. So it was like, I was really like Goldilocks. It was like too small, too big. And then this was a 4.5. And I thought, this is the one I actually liked the best. However, I did cast on with a 5 because maths is not my strong suit. I'm not, I wouldn't say I'm terrible at it, but it's not I'm really great at other things. And so I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna do what the pattern recommends and see how it goes. If I hate it, I can live with that. But I don't think I will. And I do think, it's not like it's see-through or anything, yes, there's some, this is what I talked about the other before, when you use a DK on a larger needle. So DK, you'd often use like a 4mm needle most often. On a bigger needle, come on. Yeah, you can see that it's a little bit looser. There's, maybe some gaps in between the stitches. But anyway, it's fine and I'm happy with it. So with all that being said, this is going to be hard to show, I think. I have cast on. Yep. Doesn't look like much at the moment, but I've done the split hem. The back is a little bit longer than the front. Again, that was meant to be 3 inches. That was meant to be 1.75. This is 2.5. This is 1.5. Alex ain't a big fan of the twisted rib scenario. But I did enough for it to be like part of it. And now I'm just working on the body. And I just started this yesterday, really. So I took a day to swatch and then, yeah. So look, we'll see how it goes. I know it doesn't really look like much at the moment, but I'm hoping to kind of really get cracking on it now that I'm past the twisted rib part and I've like it's really in the round and a bit of a twisted rib detail on the side. So I'm hoping that by the time I podcast next, this is going to be pretty, I would have liked to be slitting for the sleeves at that point, but I'm not going to put too much pressure on myself. There's also something else that I want to cast on. So I'm not going to put too much pressure on myself. And I don't often work on a big project while I'm working. Whereas with socks, I can in between, my work, I can sometimes do a little bit of knitting, in breaks and stuff. So that leads me to the sock dilemma that I had before. There's so much to talk about and I'm already at 40 minutes. So I'm kind of like, I was thinking this is going to be a short one because I've done it last week, but we'll see. So the thing I want to cast on is the Grocery Girls. Sorry, I've got mohair on my face and my glasses keep falling off. And that's happening. I'm just gonna have some coffee too. I'm not gonna lie, this is like my 4th coffee today. But I was up until 1 o'clock in the morning. So that's what happened. So what I'm going to cast possibly tonight, but I actually want some help with this. So I might wait out until when and if anybody has some suggestions. The Grocery Girls, for those who are familiar with them, have a monthly sock bash where it's basically a monthly knit along. They've been running it for like 5 years or something, where every month you go on Ravelry and you can post a finished object of any pair of socks that you started in that month. So they have to be, a new pair of socks. They can't be whips or anything. And you can just post whatever you like, but you can put a second entry in if it meets the kind of like theme of the month. So the theme for this month is stripes. So here's my question. I got 2 options because I actually thought stripy socks would be really fun, and I love stripes. So I've got a couple of plans. So do I go, again, I've got lots of Grocery Girls mentioned today because I'm really, A, I freaking love them. B, I just love everything they do. So Tracy from the Grocery Girls has a sweater that's in 2 very similar colors to this. It's her colors are a Sonda yarn. Mine are, I like how I don't know. This one's the Fibre Co. I think it's Amble. I don't know what the color is, but that's the, brand. This one is a Manos del Uruguay. It's their sock yarn. I don't remember. Alegria is what it's called. I'm actually currently wearing a pair of socks in this color. I think this could be a surprisingly interesting stripy sock combo, or it could look gross. It'll be like one or the other. I feel like this is one of the combinations that my husband would be like, what were you thinking? But I've seen it in Tracy's sweater and it looks amazing. So I could keep it for a color work too. I wonder if it would look more impactful with color work rather than just stripes. So then in that case, my other option is, this is my like leftover yarn bowl of just like random odds and ends. Do I do, see, look, as I'm showing you, I'm like, this looks like a really fun option. Do I do like a pastel white base and then a whole bunch of different pastel scrappy striped socks? I can almost hear you guys being like, do the scrappy striped socks. Like I'm almost sure that this is what people are keen on. But, or if there's a third option that you recommend, if you're looking at these going, actually, that would be super cute. Yeah, I'd really love to hear it. Because I want to try and cast that on the next couple of days so that I can get cracking. I am doing some traveling. I'm traveling down to Sydney tomorrow. So I would love to be doing some car knitting. So we'll see. I don't even know if this is actually going to get uploaded tonight. So we'll just kind of see how the YouTube world works. So yeah, I want to do that in the next 24 hours and get that cracking. So that's all the knitting content. But because we're all friends now, I was thinking about this and I was like, right, well, what do I love when I'm chatting to my friends? And one of those things is like, if there's something that I found that's like a product or like a, I don't know, like a thing that I just freaking love, I would be running to my friend to be like, you have to buy one of these, you know? And I don't have any acquisitions. I bought the True Boo this week and thrilled with that. Very excited for how that's going to go. So I don't have any further acquisitions. However, this is my partially, I'm just going to call this, I don't know if we're not going to call this a section or something, but this is just going to be like Alex's favorite things that I'm just going to share with you because that's what friends do. So I recently bought a new handbag, and I'm the type of person, I have one handbag, I use it all the time. Like, I'm very lazy. I don't like to change things around very much, but I am very practical, but I want it to also be really nice. Like, I have a lot of criteria for a handbag. And this one, the reason I'm sharing it here is because I think it's got some features that yarny people are going to enjoy. So this is the Sophie bag from Arlington Mill. It is 100%, it's quite full as you can see, pebbled leather. It comes with 3 straps, but I've only got 2 of them. So it's got the crossbody strap, it's got like the little shoulder strap, and it also comes with a shoulder strap that's in like a leopard print, but I haven't really used that one. The hardware is gold, as you can see, but right, here's why I love it. Couple of reasons. I used to carry on like a market basket to put all my stuff in, and I just always used to lose everything. I lost my keys, I lost my knitting, like stitches would be coming undone, books would be losing bookmarks, and I had a little handbag that I would use to put like my wallet and keys in. But what I really wanted and why I bought this was because, well, first of all, the other one broke. That tends to be my MO, is I wait until something breaks and then I buy a new one. So with that being said, this is not an inexpensive, like it's not super expensive. It was $250, which for me was, you know, an investment in a handbag. But I am the type of person who I will wait for something to break and then I'll go out and buy something that, you know, is, you know, at maybe the higher end of my budget, but that I'm going to have for a really long time. So I bought this one, and here's what I really wanted and what I was looking for is I wanted it to be leather. I wanted it to be good quality. I wanted it to be a really neutral color. My other one was a navy one. This is black, but it comes in a variety of different colors. And what I really wanted, which is why I'm telling you about it, I wanted to be able to fit a book and a sock knitting project, as well as all of my stuff. So that's a big ask, right? Like, it's not that big of a handbag, but wait. So first of all, the lining is hot pink, which is adorable. Second of all, here are the things that I've been able to fit in this, and I've got it like, this is not a Mary Poppins situation. I have been able to fit a decent sized book, also an excellent book. In case anyone's wondering, this is Phryne Fisher by Kerry Greenwood. I'm also considering doing Alex's book section because I love reading. If I could actually read and knit at the same time, audiobooks don't quite do it for me in the same way as reading does it, I would. So yeah, it fits a decent sized book very easily. Wallet full of a whole bunch of stuff. Entire skein of yarn. This is 3 Cats yarn, Lilac 2.0. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Freaking stunning. So, you know, you can imagine a pair of needles, like a small little 9-inch circulars and a sock in that. Like, isn't going to be no worries. Sunnies. I've got like some receipts. I did not do a clean out. This is not a what's in your handbag section, but you know, like I've got, you know, some lip balms, and I've got my favorite, this is my favorite lip balm. I have about 100 of these. It's from Frank Body, just their plain lip balm. I own a lot of those. Yeah, I got 2 of them in there. Ear pods. It's got a really good zipper pocket on this section. And then on the other side, it's got like a little phone pocket, but I have a pair of, not something I had planned to show, but now that I mention it, I have a pair of Cloudburst mittens in there that were knit out of, what's that company called? It's the 4-ply called Loft, and I'm just blanking. Their 10-ply is called Shelter. You guys are all yelling it like this is like a game show where you're like, it's this, Alex, it's this, where you're yelling at the TV. But I've just totally blanked on what they're called. I actually really want to knit a weekender in Snowbound in Shelter in this company's yarn. So I know what it's called. I'm just kind of blanking. Anyway, I could sit here forever. I'll put it in the description bar, but most of you know exactly what I'm talking about and I just can't think about it. So it all fits in here really, really easily. And I think that the reason I want to share this too is because like, what a dream, right? Like that's the aim. I want a handbag. What I really wanted was a handbag that was big enough to fit everything I wanted in there. But a handbag that wasn't so big that I was going to lose things, you know? And so like I can fit all that stuff in there and close it up with like, she says with no issues. I had to push it down a little bit, but like it's not straining. It's not, you know, having any issues. And for me, like I could not tell you how thrilled I was to buy this. I bought this from a store called Hem, which I don't know where they are in general, but I bought it in the Southern Highlands while I was there recently. Yeah, I could not be happy with it. I could not be happier with it. And for me, it was definitely worth the investment to buy something that was going to be A, exactly what I wanted, but B, was something that was going to be really, really good quality and that could last me, you know. This will last me ages. Like it's really good quality and I can condition it and stuff. So couldn't recommend that more highly. And oh yeah, and I also have this cute little, this is where I keep a lot of my stitch markers. I really like 2 stitch markers I use are these little, here. Can I do that? Nope. The little light bulb, the little light bulb markers. I just bought those from an Etsy store. They're like $7 for 200 of them. And then I also love, these are my favorite ones actually, but sometimes you need a little light bulb one that goes on something. I have a whole bunch. I'm trying to get 2 of the different colors because there's like a light pink and a dark pink. Hold please. Oh, and I just spilt them all. Whoops. See how I can show these. They're little love hearts. They're very hard to show actually. How am I going to do that? Little love hearts. Nope. There you go. Yeah, see if you can see them on my head. Little love hearts. They're from Knit Pro. Aren't they sweet? They just make me happy. So those are my 2 favorite stitch markers. And I keep them in this little pouch. These aren't for knitting necessarily, but I've got a little one and then I've got a bigger one that I keep in my basket with a whole bunch of lipsticks and stuff in it. It's by a brand that's called, oh gosh, I cannot even read that. Handmade by Angel. And this is a Rifle Paper Co. fabric, I believe. Freaking love them. So yeah, super cute. And that goes in there with a whole bunch of stitch markers. And yeah. So that's it, guys. That was a lot of stuff. And thank you so much for hanging around. I can't believe I've almost got a whole other hour of stuff to talk about. But yeah, it's been so lovely hanging out with you guys again. And I'm definitely going to get busy knitting and try and have some things done, you know, in a couple of weeks to be able to, I don't know, show you a few more things that are going on. So yeah, I'd love you to, you know, comment below about what kind of stripy socks you're thinking I should probably try and do. And I will actually take suggestions for this. I'm really excited to hear about what you think. Yeah, so that's it. It's been lovely hanging out with you. I hope that this has been, you know, a nice 40, 50 minutes spent together. And yeah, please feel free to like, subscribe, comment, check out the Instagram, all that's super helpful, and I'd love to see you over there.